Hello everyone and welcome back to 101 Great Goals for this week's Talking Points. Obviously we didn't have one last week because of the international break, but delighted to be back this week discussing all things football with Dale O'Donnell from Stretty News. Manchester United fan, we're not going to discuss Manchester United too much on today's episode. We've got Jose Mourinho, Jesse Lingard, which I suppose links into Manchester United, the England squad with Jadon Sancho, and of course the Erling Haaland rumours which refuse to go away or die down. But Dale, no Manchester United after a good win for you. But how are you anyway? You okay?
Yeah, good. Good to get back after the international break with a win. And looking at the results, I think City did us a bit of a favour. We're not going to catch them in the title race. There won't be a title race this season. But seeing Leicester drop points at the weekend and us gaining ground, yeah, you got to be happy with that.
Absolutely. We will get on to Jesse Lingard, but of course, we'll just dive straight in with Jose Mourinho, a former manager who you know very well from his time at Manchester United. So it's been a little bit dismal for Spurs, especially on the weekend after drawing with Newcastle. And it does seem like the Jose negativity is back. After the game, he was quoted as saying that he can't hold on to Leeds, but he said it's the same manager, different players. So I'm pretty much putting the blame straight on to his Tottenham squad for that one. Craig said this is the same Mourinho who said his current group of players at Tottenham is better than the ones he had at Manchester United. It's always the players' fault with Jose. Gary Lineker even commented on that one. It seems that there seems to be a lot of finger pointing at Tottenham under Mourinho. And do you think that's a recurring theme with Mourinho?
Yeah, 100%. I think when Jose Mourinho got the Manchester United job, I was very, very happy. He was the man I would have replaced Alex Ferguson with, and I still think that was the right time. Bringing him back when he came in probably wasn't the right time because he was damaged goods. And I think you can look back to his time at Real Madrid where his ego suffered a massive bruising, and really players started to fall out with him and question his methods. That's continued. Remember, he went back to Chelsea, won the league, but when he left there, he kind of left under a grey cloud again. So with Jose, there's a lot of finger points, and he doesn't want his own reputation tarnished, but it has been. And I think we're seeing that again. This is a Tottenham side that not long ago reached the Champions League final. I look at the players, and I'm still saying the same thing that I said after that season. They need a refresh. They need new blood. They should have trusted Pochettino doing that. And I think right now, Daniel Levy, he saw the potential of winning trophies under Mourinho, and I don't think they're going to win the League Cup this season. You look at it now, the dressing room certainly does not look happy.
No, they don't. And it was a capitulation again from Spurs away at Newcastle, dropping those points. And they don't seem happy outside of Harry Kane, who has had a few bits to say now about his future, and he's never done that before at Tottenham. I mean, is that one of the biggest indications for you as to where that Tottenham squad is at? Because, like I said, we've never seen that from him.
Look, every manager is different, and a manager has to come into a dressing room and kind of and stamp his authority. And Mourinho's way of doing that is very, very different to Pochettino. And if you remember when Pochettino was manager, there was always reports about how close himself and Harry Kane was. Pochettino was the manager who took him to the next level. And there was almost that he was signing contracts to play under Pochettino because they were playing a great brand of football. They were making so much progress in Europe. And yeah, every side suffers a slump. Unfortunately for Spurs fans, the board jumped too quickly and they hired a dinosaur, you'd have to say. And it's backfired. It's really backfired. And I think looking at what happened at Manchester United, what happened with several players, you look at Luke Shaw, who Mourinho had personal problems with. I can see why Harry Kane wouldn't mind leaving Tottenham Hotspur at the current state of things, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Luke Shaw one's big, isn't it? Luke Shaw playing tremendously well, but I think we look back at the comments that Mourinho actually made, and it was borderline bullying of Luke Shaw during his time at Manchester United. It does seem like his methods are leaving him behind in football. In hindsight, we look at the other side. Pep Guardiola seems like he's very adaptive within his managerial style, and we've seen that this season. And there's great managers who have adapted as well. So Alex Ferguson was probably the best one for adapting, but Jose seems very I don't want to say stuck in the mud, but he's very egotistical. Doesn't want to change his methods at all.
Yeah, and you can spend so much time too speaking about Jose Mourinho's style of football, but ultimately, I look at some of the modern coaches nowadays and how they get players on side. Winning over players to get them to play a particular brand of football is one battle, but winning over players that they enjoy playing under you and they believe in your philosophy is a completely different argument altogether. And I don't think Mourinho quite gathers that. We've seen in the past that his brand of football can work. We've seen it with his great Inter Milan sides. But nowadays, you look at certain managers, you look at Solskjaer, who puts an arm around his players and tries to get the best out of them. You look at Jurgen Klopp when he won the league last season. You can watch these teams and see that these players genuinely enjoy playing under that coach. With Jose, I guess people have praised them. Maybe players that like that kind of dictator approach, maybe, or the disciplinarian. But the modern player, you have to stick with the times, and that's what puzzled me when Spurs made that appointment. Why go back? Why go a few years back when you're looking like a forward-thinking club?
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like it's on a one-way train now. To them parting ways. It could be different. Loads of different scenarios happen in football. I'll never say something's going to happen for certain. But should Jose Mourinho leave Spurs, where does that leave him in the world of football for you? I mean, an incredible CV. He's won trophies galore. But would clubs be a little bit reluctant to take him on now?
Well, the top clubs, 100%. I think the top clubs would have looked at what happens at Manchester United and would have kind of steered away from him. There'll always possibly be that lure back to Inter Milan because of the job that he did there. I'm not sure he'll go back to Chelsea. But as for other clubs looking at him, I don't think he's as appealing. You might get mid-table teams that might like the idea of getting in a big-name coach still, a bit like Spurs maybe. That's why they hired him, and look, it'll just be this kind of circle the whole time that he'll go in with all these ideas and then he'll start finger pointing and the dressing room will just be all over the place. Like, you have to give Solskjaer some bit of respect too, that when he took over Manchester United, it was not a nice place. It wasn't a happy place. It wasn't a happy dressing room, and I'm sure there were several players there not knowing whether they wanted to be there anymore. Forget about winning titles, but I'm happy here. Solskjaer had to pick that up, and I look at the dressing room now, and I can see the players genuinely want to play for Man United. And under Mourinho, that really wasn't the case.
So we'll move on from Mourinho then, and this moves on to the England squad, and we're more going to look at Jadon Sancho, because it was quite good to watch Monday Night Football last night, and there was a huge debate. And Leanne said Gary Neville putting Mason Greenwood in his Euro 2020 squad over Jadon Sancho is a whole new level of wild. And obviously, you can come into this perfectly as a Manchester United fan, but is there a little bit of bias towards players that are playing in England as regards to players that are playing outside? We saw it with maybe Owen Hargreaves when he was in the Bundesliga. And we've seen that with Jadon Sancho as well, because he's still, the stats would say he's still having a good season.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's a few factors to this. I don't think there's enough services out there to allow people like me and you in the football media to watch different leagues during the week, highlight shows, extended highlight shows. That's a massive contributing factor, because Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, for instance, very much like myself, focused on the Premier League every week and watching that the whole time. So I get to see Mason Greenwood every week. Jadon Sancho, not the case. And that's where the bias comes from. I don't think it comes so much from the fact that Gary Neville's a former United player and loves the club and wants to see a youngster come through. I think it's because he doesn't see Sancho as much as he sees Greenwood. But the other side of it too is you look at Greenwood, and I'm really excited about what the player he can become. I think he can reach the very, very top. He has so much to his game. But it's ridiculous to say that Sancho should miss out on a place given what he's done on the European stage, playing Champions League the past few years. You want him on the plane. You know, I don't really care much because I'm Irish. I don't care how far England go. But looking at the players available, Jadon Sancho has to be on the plane. He's one of England's best players, and teams wouldn't want to be playing against him, would they? You know, same with Greenwood, but I think right now he's at a higher level.
I mean, there's certainly an element, isn't there? Like you said, there's no highlights really of the Bundesliga, and you've got to pay for so many different services if
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
watch these players. But last season, it was easy to say Sancho was amazing because his stats proved it, and the main stats people go off is his assists and his goals, and obviously he went through a little bit of a drought early on in the season. But other stats, I think he's still the third highest take. He's got the third highest take on successful in Europe, and little things like that. And isn't that what England need? A little bit of flair going into these championships. And it does seem ludicrous that we'd say that Jadon Sancho wouldn't be in that squad.
Look, England are kind of blessed in certain departments where you have several players that you could say if he was playing for maybe a less fortunate nation, that he would be a star player on the international stage. They have a number of players like that. And they're kind of spoiled for choice in certain departments. Less so elsewhere, though. You know, you'll have problems in defence if there's going to be injuries. But I just think someone like Jadon Sancho, who has proven it at the very highest level in the Champions League, crazy not sending. There is the argument too, and I know Jamie Carragher raised it, that in an England shirt he hasn't exactly lit the world alight, and we shouldn't ignore that either, because Gareth Southgate at the end of the day is going to pick his team, not based on what players are doing just at their clubs, because you have to do it in an England shirt. And it was also brought up in the conversation last night that some players play better in an England shirt than they do with their clubs. Danny Welbeck was an example of that. So Gareth Southgate ultimately will come to that decision. And if that's the reason why Greenwood gets on the plane, you just have to understand that he's going to make the decision who's going to win him or get him as far to that World Cup as possible.
I mean, it's gonna rumble on, isn't it? It's going to rumble on. I mean, Jadon Sancho, if he was Irish, he'd probably be your best player, like you say.
Probably. And let him manage as well.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not here to talk about Ireland, especially after the international break. So let us know in the comments below, Jadon Sancho, would he get in your England squad? And what do you think about English bias towards players that are currently playing within the Premier League? We'll move on to, I think, mainly people have been calling him Messi Lingard or Lingardinho. He's just been phenomenal since he's gone to West Ham, and yesterday he proved it more so with that terrific performance away at Wolves, and the solo goal capped it off. But his all-round play, he just looks like a player who's beaming with confidence. And there was a former player called Joe Thompson who actually said this is why we should be focusing more on a player's mentality as well as their training, because the shift in him has been phenomenal. And from a United fan's point of view, to see the Jesse Lingard now to the Jesse Lingard that's been at Manchester United for the last 2 seasons, does it just show how confidence can really affect a player?
Yeah, I remember watching Jesse when he was in the U team. Years ago, he won the FAU Cup in 2011. The talent was always there. The ability was always there, and I was always someone who was quite supportive of Lingard, even when in the past 2 years when he wasn't really in the team, and there was other reasons for that. But he's someone that's always worked hard, and he loves playing for Man United as well. And it's just, I'm delighted seeing my West Ham now and seeing the player that I seen as a youth player kind of blossom again, because he does get things going, and he's a player that West Ham are going to definitely want to keep. It's now it looks like it's going to cost them a bit of money, and I think that's the best thing about this from kind of more selfish point of view, that Manchester United can now sit at the negotiation table and demand money. In the past few years, United have wanted to push on several players, probably including Lingard, but they haven't been at a position to do that because clubs haven't been interested. You look at Phil Jones, he's basically qualified for a testimonial match now, and he hasn't really been part of the team for so long. So these are examples of players that are on a lot of money. It makes it hard then to push them on. But eventually, finally, we have someone there who's gone out on loan and done really well. And it hasn't been the case for other players. You look at Andres Pereira, he's on loan this season at Lazio. I don't think they'll want to keep him. Hasn't made that much of an impact there. And other players have tried too. So Lingard deserves great credit. And I think, given the form he's in, and speaking about the English team, I think he's got to be on the plane as well. I think given the form he's in right now, he's got to be on the plane, because you want your players in form. And if that means not bringing someone who you'd argue is a better player but not in form, so be it. Lingard has to be on that plane.
I mean, he loves playing for England as well, doesn't he? And he just brings a certain character. I assume within that England squad as well, he must be someone that everyone loves to have around the squad. He does seem like a great person to have in that mix, and maybe that also comes into Gareth Southgate's plans for the Euros. Gary Neville said yesterday that if he would take him back at Manchester United, but he probably wouldn't play every game, but he'd be a fantastic player like Daniel James to have in that squad. For you, would you have Lingard back? And if you were Lingard also, would you go back to Manchester United?
I love Lingard, but I think right now this is, like I said, an opportunity to make some money on a player because I'm not confident about Manchester United's financial situation going into the transfer market. I think we could be kind of reliant on what players we can get out. And as much as I love Lingard, and I'm watching him now, and I think he's a really good player, I think that is his level. I've seen him at Manchester United. I don't think he adds anything to the squad, given that the other players we have in the squad, I don't think he's needed. And there's also comes a part of me that I like him, so I want to see him playing football every week. It's not right as well. He's what, 27, hasn't been part of the England squad, and now once he's back on the pitch, he's been selected. So that's an example, and that's, he's got to look at that and decide in the summer himself. But no, I don't agree with Gary. I think this is an opportunity that's too good for Manchester United to turn down. And if United are interested, I'm not saying that they are, but if they're interested in Declan Rice, they could be in a position then to do a swap deal, because Declan Rice might get the itch then that this is my opportunity. I want to leave West Ham. Then you got a player like Lingard who has just gone there and it's really worked out for him. So, look, United are in a really good position. I don't think that should open a door to Lingard coming back. I think it should open a door to do good business.
Well, let us know in the comments what you think about Lingard's upturning form and what you think he will be thinking of doing in the summer, especially with the Euros as well. Finally, then, we'll go on to Erling Haaland. It just seems like everybody is talking about Erling Haaland, and every single media outlet is creating stories based on him. For me personally, as a Manchester City fan, it's even tiring me out, and we've got another few months of this to look forward to. Where's your head at with Erling Haaland and where he could end up? Because I think both Manchester clubs have had dealings with Mino Raiola. Just in general, we definitely know Sir Alex Ferguson's take on him as an agent. I suppose from a player's point of view, he does the agent's job very well, and he secures them probably the best deal, and that's probably his tactics. But where's your head at with Erling Haaland as a whole?
I don't think Manchester United have a chance, for starters. And I have no idea where he's most likely to go. It's probably going to be City, because I look at the teams that are in desperate need of a goal scorer, and with Aguero going, I'm starting to get nightmares already, especially with that bag that he's took to Manchester with him, the bright blue bag. Yeah, I reckon it could be City. It won't be United. I just don't see
honestly, it. Just before you carry on with that, there's so many people who think Mino Raiola has told him to wear a blue bag just to create stories. And at first I thought it's ridiculous, never going to happen. But the more you think about it, do you actually think that could be the case?
I'm gonna blow your head off with this one, but when Paul Pogba was linked with Manchester United, returned to Manchester United, he started putting up Instagram posts, and he would edit the photos to leave just something red in the photo, and it was always a hint that he was coming back to Manchester United. So Mino Raiola, again, this is why he's probably one of the most popular agents in the world. He knows how to brew up a storm, and that's what happens. He's going to get people thirsty. He might even do it in a way that would annoy Man City, because it puts pressure on him. It's crazy how that game works. But yeah, I don't think, sadly, United have any chance of getting Haaland. But I think, look at City, Aguero is gone. I don't think you look at Gabriel Jesus and think that he's going to be that main man up front. He's very, very good, but they need someone else, and Haaland's going to win your league titles. And unfortunately, I can't see that at Old Trafford.
With regards to Haaland, then, there's been a lot of notions about how much money he commands in terms of a fee, in terms of agents' fees to his father. Do you think that clubs will be a little bit put off by the fee, or do you think he's that good of a generational talent that they'll just blow the budget for him anyway. I mean, we see there's two players that come to mind, is him and Mbappe when you think of generational talents that are doing it at the moment. So where would your limit be for him?
Just do all you can to get him. It's as simple as that. He's the best out there. There's no two ways about it. Like, I remember when Borussia Dortmund signed him and he was linked to Manchester United, and there was kind of a reaction on social media, this kind of absolute nonsense, arrogant view that, oh, we're better off not signing Haaland because in 2 or 3 years' time he's going to want to join a club winning things. So what? So what? Why does that matter? You sign Erling Haaland, you've one of the best strikers in the world. You should be winning league titles. You should be winning trophies. Why are people so concerned about signing this big money player and giving this agent all this money if he's that good? I don't care because it's not my money. And to be quite honest, I look at Manchester United and look at the Glazers, and I don't think they spend enough money. They don't spend any of their own money. And you look at the size of Man United and the state, the way the club is being run. It's a joke. United I should be confident that we sign Erling Haaland this summer because we need him. Manchester United need a goal scorer, but no, they're not really in the picture because the way the club is being run is an absolute joke. And you'll have all these executives making statements and trying to gloss over, and it's a difficult time. United have been run like this since 2005. That's why we're not in the race for Erling Haaland, and media reports might suggest we are. When negotiations are had over how much money he's getting, it won't be Ed Woodward or Matt Judge sat across from that table. Guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree with you massively there. When fees are brought into it, and I often get people like shouting at me saying, "How can you justify spending? It's not my money. I just get to watch these footballers play, and I couldn't care less."
You just want to be entertained. You want the best players in front of you. You want the best football. You want to see your team winning things. As a football fan, that's all I care about. I care. I worry about I have too much going on in my life every day to be worried about whether Manchester United should be spending 90 million on Jadon Sancho. I just want to see the player signed. I don't care about the money. We care too much. We see too much on social media about it. You can raise concerns when your club is not spending the money it should be, and that's why United fans aren't happy. And we probably take it out with these greedy agents. But the real problem is that we're not spending the money that our clubs are on the right players.
Mm-hmm. I can fully understand that, and I think that is the best place to leave this week's talking point. So let us know in the comments below what you think of Erling Haaland and anything else that we have spoken about. So thank you everyone who has watched this week's talking points. Thank you to Dale for coming on. All of his links will be in the description below. If you're new around here, subscribe to the channel. Check us out on social media as well. But from myself and Dale, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.